We often look upward for the most alien, unexplored frontiers. But some of the most profound mysteries aren't in space, they're directly beneath our feet. Drop more than a kilometer below the ocean's surface, and the conditions we associate with Earth simply vanish. The temperature hovers near freezing, and the pressure becomes intense enough to crush steel. Under the standard rules of biology, this freezing, crushing void should be a lifeless wasteland, yet it is teeming with life. Near the surface, sunlight penetrates the water, fueling a familiar biological engine. Plants and algae thrive, supporting a massive, visible food web. But as you descend, that energy source fades. The vibrant blue water darkens into deep navy, and eventually into total blackness. Scientists call this the aphotic zone. In this region, photons from the sun can no longer penetrate the water column. Without sunlight, the foundational process of photosynthesis comes to a complete halt. There is no solar energy to sustain plant life. On the surface, nearly every ecosystem relies on the sun to survive. Removing that central power source should, theoretically, break the entire chain of survival, leaving nothing behind. The presence of complex organisms in this abyss indicates that these species are operating under a set of survival strategies that diverge from the solar-powered biology found at the surface. To navigate total darkness, many species have developed their own internal light. Through a chemical reaction called bioluminescence, they illuminate the void to communicate, hunt, or hide. Food is scarce. To secure a meal that might only appear once a month, predators have evolved specialized bodies, often featuring enormous hinged jaws and expansive stomachs designed to swallow prey larger than themselves. Early biologists documented these traits in specimens like the anglerfish. This historical illustration highlights its defining evolutionary tool, a modified dorsal fin that acts as a glowing lure, drawing curious prey directly into its teeth. For centuries, other creatures of the deep were known only through folklore and fragmented remains. The giant squid was considered a myth until modern science finally observed intact specimens, proving that these massive predators are a biological reality. Across the deep sea, you find transparent animals, exposed glowing organs, and highly unusual shapes that look almost extraterrestrial. These bizarre shapes represent highly specialized biological tools, refined over millions of years to function in a world almost entirely alien to us. The darkness, however, is only half the challenge. The true barrier to survival is the sheer physical weight of the ocean above. As we descend, atmospheric pressure increases exponentially. At extreme depths, the weight is hundreds of times greater than at sea level. For humans, crossing this threshold is lethal. Ordinary equipment quickly meets its structural failure limit, far above the true ocean floor. Because of this, early scientific exploration required heavily armored technology. Researchers had to encase themselves in thick metal spheres, relying on brute force engineering just to survive the crushing descent. Yet, deep down, organisms with entirely soft bodies swim through this environment, functioning under pressures that would easily compress and destroy human steel. Down on the ocean floor, where the pressure is at its absolute peak, we find a reality even more surprising. These are hydrothermal vents. Deep fractures in the seafloor release extreme heat and mineral-rich fluids directly from beneath the crust, creating a toxic environment. Incredibly, dense and complex ecosystems flourish directly in the path of these chemical plumes. Instead of sunlight, specialized microorganisms extract energy directly from the raw chemicals spewing from the vents. They use a process called chemosynthesis to generate life from the Earth's internal chemistry. Chemosynthesis allows these ecosystems to exist independently of solar energy, proving that life can sustain itself by tapping directly into the planet's internal chemical reservoir. Even today, our understanding of these environments is constantly evolving. Every time scientists send an expedition down to the seafloor, they discover marine species that have never been documented. But exploration remains difficult. The total lack of light, the severe pressure limits on our equipment, and the massive volume of the ocean mean every dive is a major technological feat. Because of these extreme barriers, humanity still does not possess a complete biological inventory of our own ocean. We have mapped the surfaces of other planets, yet the deepest reaches of Earth remain an enormous, poorly understood frontier. The darkness of the deep sea naturally inspires stories of massive, unknown sea monsters. However, modern science has found no evidence to support those legends. The evidence-based reality is more fascinating. Thousands of unknown smaller organisms, complete ecosystems, and strange behaviors are definitely waiting to be found. Our focus shifts from the search for legendary monsters to a more grounded, yet staggering reality. The vast majority of life in the deep sea remains entirely undocumented. The surface of the ocean is just a roof. Beneath it lies a massive world of pressure, chemical energy, and extraordinary adaptation. The deeper we look, the stranger our planet becomes. This is BioCosmos, and the mystery is already here.